Well, hello, fine people of the internet, and welcome back to Ears to the East, where today we're going to be having a little bit more of a talk about Anno and Lilas, which is a subject we've talked about a little bit before. But of course, they went and did the first take performance of the part 2 of their collaboration, which was really cool, really interesting. Again, big hello to everyone from the Anno fan club. Hi guys. I know that we get a few of them actually popping up on our content and our comments, which is always really cool. So thank you to you guys. But yeah, so anyway, quickly recap as you talked about before. Anno, very famous, big rising star in Japan at the moment, very interesting, quirky, bit different, bit chaotic, bit rebellious character. And you got Lilas, who's obviously a bit, yeah, that's what we're talking about. And you got Lilas, who is the singer from YOASOBI, got a lot of extensive solo career, but she's famous for being the singer from YOASOBI who did Idol, the theme tune to Oshinoko, and therefore she has her voice on possibly the biggest single in recent Japanese memory, an absolute massive one. So anyway, the two of them collaborating, they did a few things that hopefully you're relatively up to date. But this most recent one, so I know you guys all did reaction videos to this, which was quite fun.
I don't think I did.
You didn't?
There you go.
No, I listened to it.
Well, I know you did there, dear old Neon.
Actually
write Raid Shadow Legends at the bottom of your chat. The fuck is going on? Oh.
Call us.
Don't. We do not want to beat the Dark Lord Siroth. Fuck him. Right.
This episode of Ears to the East is brought to you by.
No, it's not.
Brought to you by Keeps.
It's not.
Brought to you by Keeps. Keeps.
Yeah, Keeps. A lot better. You can really call us.
Yeah, Keeps can call us. It's like, it's not for the sponsorship. We just need your help.
Just need a product.
It's too late.
This video is brought to you by Manscaped. Keep your balls fresh. No, we're not going for that one either.
I think you're on.
What
videos have you been watching?
There you go. There you go. Proof that Howard and Benedict don't tidy themselves up. Right.
Can we please get back to the subject rather than the hair and where the hair doth grow? And now we've lost all the viewers. Feel free to skip ahead to any chapters you want, guys. So where were we? Yes, Anno and Lilas.
We're getting sidetracked there. I'm sorry. This is all because I put Raid Shadow Legends.
Yeah, I was about to say, I can let someone else lead this conversation next time. So anyway,
Anno.
Well, okay. So, actually, one of the first things though is because this is a first take performance. And I don't know how familiar you guys are with first take stuff anyway. Because first take itself is a rather interesting topic before we get in. Because obviously, this performance was quite different from the original in a few ways.
Yes.
Are you guys familiar with the first take anyway?
Yes, I do a shit ton of first take reactions on mine. It's actually the one time, and I say this actually quite a lot in the beginning of the videos. It's the one channel where I don't mind doing a reaction to the same song I've already reacted to. I'm not one of these people that do like reactions to one song for like different performances. Whatever song it is, performed in Paris, performed in China, performed.
Oh, they performed it on a bigger stage this
time.
Yeah,
bigger stage, bigger lights, the same exact song with the exact
1 year later, same stage.
1 year later,
give me 3,000 views.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not one of those people. I don't like doing that. Like I react to the song and then I'm pretty much like I am in bed. One and done. That's it. It's over. But the first take is a great example, I think, of just a channel by itself. It's so creative. The different variations of the songs as well, the layout of them, the construction of these songs. It's like one of the few channels, if only only channel for me, where I can go and listen to a take of the same song that I've already listened to it. And it's drastically different enough and varied enough that the first take is just amazing by itself. One that always sticks out for me is Baby Metal's version of Monochrome.
Yeah, it's a very different version of the piano.
Very different versions on the first take, and I still listen to that first take. Like I still have trouble over the original studio version and like listening to the first take version.
I actually bought that version just to listen to it.
Just to listen to it, like so. The first take by itself, for versions and just standing out is head above most channels.
So, Benedict, your thoughts on the first take?
Yeah,
Any?
I don't think I'm that familiar with it, but I watched a couple of videos. But I'm kind of surprised that you said this version was so significantly different, because to me, a lot of the versions I saw on the first take were really like something completely different. Like no, like yeah, completely rearranged, completely most of the time toned down, maybe just a very raw piano version or something like that. And this kind of had a lot of like instruments that actually are in the main song as well, right?
Well, before we get into that, I will touch on that, but just something briefly to say. So yeah, the first take has a range of, some of them are pretty much exactly the same as the studio version,
Okay.
just like, you know, the person sings. Some of them are totally rearranged. I personally, I prefer the first take ones where they really, you know, sort of add a rearrangement, or where you really feel that something new has got out of the song, which
Yes.
again, monochrome, actually, I forgot about that, but yeah, that's a gold standard example. The only thing I don't like about the first take is actually, it's quite funny, this one. This really irritates me. I think this is probably from working in a studio before. I really hate that just to prove it's a live thing, you have to always, at the beginning of the video, listen to the sound of the fucking creaking headphones. It's like, just to make it seem real, you have to listen to them.
I
Put it
love
on.
that.
It's like,
I'm not gonna lie. I love hearing that and hearing the little
it's
dinks
so
and
weird. I really like, one of the things I liked about some of Anna's previous first takes is you get some of them and they act in a way that just doesn't seem like the way I've actually seen artists in studios. They walk in and they whisper and stuff. So people really don't really do that in studio. They just walk in, they chat. So are we ready? We're good to go? And I like the fact on some of Anna's previous first takes, she just walks in and she starts talking. Let's go.
That means
So
not just a studio where you can retake, it's actually just the one take.
yeah,
So I get you kind of nervous.
let's be honest. Let's be honest. Now, I respect the artist to assume that it's the first take.
Now
But let's
we're
be
getting
honest, if
somewhere.
they actually fucked the tape, it's not like they're going to go, well, sorry, we have to upload that now. It's like, no, please don't do it. It's like, sorry, it's in your contracts. We have to upload that version. It's like, it's not going to happen. We all know that they called it the first take, but it's just like the first good take, which from most, if not all, I'm sure it is the first take. So anyway.
I would love to say that 70%
I mean,
of
do you really
artists.
know that?
Do you really know otherwise?
No.
Yeah.
There we go.
That's a counter argument and a half, isn't
Yes.
Um, so just in response to what you said about this arrangement, though, so I just wanted to get out of the way before like answering your former comment. Yeah, so this was quite interesting because it wasn't quite as dramatic as what Neil was saying about monochrome. And yet the changes here were quite interesting. Like, for example, instead of starting with like a picked guitar, it started with that electric piano, which I thought was a really nice choice. I thought that's really unexpectedly different. Like when you got the 1, 2, 3, and then oh, electric piano, this is cool. And I thought that was interesting because it kept the mood. It felt just right for the mood, but it was immediately obviously different. And certain things about this were the same. I felt that I like the electric beat in the original. It makes it kind of cute, a bit twee. But this having the drum kit in, yeah, I probably wouldn't want the drum kit so much in the original because the original has a sort of sweetness that works with that more understated sound. But for this version, because they're singing live, because they're giving it a little bit more push in their vocals, then yeah, you want the live drum kit. It's still just bouncy, it's still fun, but it adds that extra tangible live feel. So it was same in all the right places, but it had just the right nice little changes to make it different enough that you felt like this was an alternate version. So that was my take on that.
Yeah, it's subtle. I think it's pretty one for one. I think with the original song, but it's like you just said, the keyboard changes and the drum kits. It's subtle enough change that it doesn't change the song drastically, but it's a nice little variation of it, and I quite like it. I noticed the keyboards, like you said, when they first came in, and I was like, ooh, you know, when I first heard it, and that's what I like about the first take is even if it's not a wholesale change, there's enough subtlety in most of these versions that there's enough change to warrant listening to the first take and reacting to it. Because for a lot of time, for better or for worse, depending on how you want to look for it, a lot of these first take songs or versions are probably the only time you'll ever see or hear this kind of version of this song, like ever. And then every gig thereafter and every version of the song you'll ever hear will be pretty much the standard norm.
I do wonder. I'm sure this, I think it depends on the group, but I think you got a point that some of them might be only for the first take. Some of them they might take I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if, I don't know if they have, but I wouldn't be surprised if Baby Metal did the piano version of Monochrome live at some point.
Probably,
That
but
surprise you?
we're still waiting for it. I wouldn't say it
I
surprises
don't
me,
know about it.
but yeah, most of the time when they play it, it's usually the studio version. So a lot of these bands will always play like as close to the studio version as possible, I think. There'll be some artists out there that can obviously mix it up and stuff, but I think it'll be really good. Again, it kind of reminds me of Bandmade when they did the acoustic album. As great as that is, and I fucking love that album because it's so different. But when you go to a Bandmade show, you don't want them playing acoustic guitars, really. You want, you want what we want Bandmade at their best. Although saying that,
Maybe not the full set, but I would love
yeah,
one or two
you
songs
would
like that.
you would like to have a few acoustic songs in there, or like if I watched a Bandmade acoustic show, I'd be 100% freaking totally for that. I could sit there for freaking a whole freaking 30 years just watching them do acoustic songs. But the point is more often than not, I would say like 95% of the time, they're going to be as you kind of expect Bandmade to be.
I think, I mean, one of the things I remember the first time I ever heard a live show where they really did this was like Oatscry in 2005, where she did a show and the whole live show was in 3 very separate parts. Like the first part was like really sort of like very like poppy and upbeat. No, sorry, very rock. And then the middle part was mostly her playing piano ballads, and then the last part was the bit where it went sort of very poppy and upbeat. So it's like rock, piano, pop. And I love artists who do that, where the show itself has those various segments. And I think Band may do that as well, where they add the little middle bits. Well, you know, the Line Shibuya show I went to, they had the acoustic bit in the middle.
Yeah.
Obviously the 10th anniversary one. The one at Zepp Shinjuku, that was much more raw. And to be honest, as much as I liked it for being small and raw, I think I preferred the other two as sets. But with these sort of more poppy artists, the songs sonically are always going to be very different because they're not stuck to one band's sound. So I think there's probably more room for these kind of artists, like solo singers and such like, to have more varied sets when they take their, you know, do more different versions, because they're probably working with backing musicians half the time anyway, when they go and do live takes. So I don't know. I hope we get to hear this version again at some point.
I hope so as well. Like this is one of the good things with the first take is I always expect like the first take to be like a much more slower, lighter feel to it.
Same.
Kind of associated with like the most disappointing songs for me for the first take is when like Benedict mentioned before, where it's just like, you know, the studio album just being played and then they just sing over. You know, for me that's really
backing track.
Backing track, yeah. For me, that's really disappointing. Sometimes I watch a first take video and I'm like, oh, it's good. It's good that you're singing in a first take, but you want half of the charm of the first take is like I said, is something different. How like I said, the keyboard and intro instead of the picking guitar and just spicing the song up a little bit. I wouldn't even know if it's called spicing it up, but just that variety and that's something different.
But I think
variety is
I still think it would have its place, because even then, if they just play the same stuff that they would play in a live show, it's still, you know, a different sound that you wouldn't get from the live audio from that show, because that's a live recording where they're, I don't know, also moving around on the stage and everything else. It's a different sound. This is like a live performance, but like recorded nicely, you know?
I actually think
not that live recordings are not recorded nicely, but you know what I mean.
This is definitely one of the things that I would defend about the first take most voice, because I've often said this with people, is like when you listen to like a live version of a song, like people will complain ad infinitum about like studio versions, oh, it's too produced, it's too this, too that, the other. But I say a lot of the time a live version on the stage, you do have the problem of the fact that the audio tends not to be as good, not as clear, not as well mixed. There are a lot of things going against them. It might not be the best
like
environment
a middle
to play. Yeah, exactly. I remember, do you guys remember back in the day, like sometimes we talked about B-sides in a previous video, like sometimes you'd get like a B-side on a single would be a previous song, but it would be like they'd call it a studio live version. It would basically be this. It'd be like they just did like did a live, like an uncompressed, unproduced version of a previously well-known song and pop that on as a B-side.
I always like
used to love those shit.
I always like the B-side remixes as well, like taking old songs and
Yeah.
completely just like changing it
Yeah,
about.
yeah.
Was really cool. The first take kind of reminds me of I can't remember the exact, I can't remember what it is. Howard might know what it is, but there's a radio show in Japan which is like has like a woman on like it looks like a bus or something in the middle of nowhere, but it's like a radio like 1.10 FM or something stupid like that. But they have artists on there that just literally in this tiny little room and they play songs over the radio. And it kind of reminds me of the same setup. I quite like that when they just come and they just all sit down with the acoustic guitars and do a song.
I feel like I'm going to kick myself when someone tells me what it is, but it doesn't ring a bell. I mean, I think about that one
Oh.
Scandal did where they were basically, it was like a camping show and they all went and played like acoustic, but maybe you can find it, or if
Yeah,
someone wants to get in the comments and tell us what it is, but
give it a
I feel
quick
like I
Google
should
now.
know this, but it's not ringing a bell. But yeah, I mean, obviously, along with the first take, another one is they've got Blackboard, which is because obviously the first take is kind of like it's kind of funded by a record company, so there's a certain selection of artists who are more likely to appear on there. And Blackboard's another one which is kind of similar, much less well known. So you tend to get a lot of smaller artists on there, like Lot Spirits, who I actually put Lot Spirits forward on one of my videos on my channel about upcoming artists with less than 1,000 subs who you should check out. And they suddenly got a load more subs, and now they're appearing on there. I was like, wow, that's really cool. But Trident were on that one as well, which is really cool. But the difference is that with Blackboard, it's like where it used to be they performed in front of a blackboard, but now, so they took out the blackboard, and now they perform in front of this ridiculously epic video screen that someone's got, which like literally the video screen is the entire backing, and it's like this is going to, it's like if you have epilepsy, this channel is going to fuck you up. It's like this is like really over the top. But it's kind of like it's like they're going in the opposite direction from the first take in regards to like the visual aspect. However, again, it's a studio live performance. So I think there's a few things like that, and there's like channels, and we've had this kind of thing in the past with the channels, but it seems to be popular right now. But yeah,
that's
I think
why I
that
really also really like the first take and things like that, because it just has that certain rawness of a live performance, but still the focus of a studio performance. Like that's how I would put it.
I think if I was playing devil's advocate and criticizing it, I could see that some people would say, okay, yeah, it's live, but the whole thing that makes a live performance good is that the band are pumped up by interacting with the audience. And I do kind of get that, but as I've said before, I think that there is a certain, to be honest, if we're being honest, half of what makes a live performance good, you actually need to be there to get.
Yeah.
And so I do think that, you know, you can play that to a certain point where it starts becoming a question of, okay, are all the things good about it really things that you actually need to be there to experience? And I think you could argue that subjectively any old way, but I do think like things like the first take, they make an interesting bridge, either just to hear the song played live clearly, or so the bands can play around and do a different version. But for me, like this Anno and Lilas one is the most interesting middle ground. It's the most interesting middle ground in the, again, it's not totally deviating from the original, like, you know, Monochrome did so beautifully, but at the same time, it's not just complacently just rolling out the song and performing it any old way.
Can I ask you something? Why is it maybe a lyrical connection? Why are they sitting on like school tables?
Okay,
school
so
tables? I'm not sure what it is.
it is like the school desks they're in. There might be someone who's got a deeper meaning they're going to tell me, but as far as I'm aware, and the logical reason for me, I haven't seen it stated, but it seems logical. This is the reason. So you know that this and the other song that they both did together, the Anno featuring Lilas featuring Anno, they were both the theme tunes for two parts of a two-part movie anime they did, where they also both played the lead actresses. So they're both the lead voice actresses in the anime as well. And the two characters they play are like two school friends who basically it's about
Makes
their
a lot
friendship
of sense, yeah.
in front of the backdrop of an alien invasion.
Yeah, amazing freaking advertisement this, not only for the songs and their career, but for the anime as well.
Sounds like something interesting.
I don't pay much attention to anime, but when I was walking past one of the cinemas right by my house, just when I saw that big poster and it was like the anime poster, you just saw the bottom, it was like Anno and Lilas. I was like, it just felt so good about that. And I was like, this is really nice. So yeah, it's great cross advertising. But yeah, I think that's basically the entire reasoning behind it. I did also I did
She
also like
really
seeing
has
the
a great
lyrics coming up.
voice. I mean, both of them, but I'm talking about Lila. What's
Lilas
her
has a
name?
very
Lilas.
polished voice. Yeah, Lilas. I mean, it's technically it's Lila, but I'm going to say it how they spell it.
Yeah, it
We
sounds
had a long
really,
conversation
really
about that before,
polished.
so I'm not. She's got a very well. I think the thing which was different about Anno's performance here is that in the original studio version, you hear her on the high notes. She's kind of straining, but I think that was a deliberate choice because she wanted to sing kind of a little bit lightly because it was like human, soft friends. It's not a big, loud, powerful song. It's like a friend
Yeah.
song. So she sang a bit lighter and like pushed her voice a little bit. It was all part of the tone. Whereas in this version, where she had to go for the live version, Leela sang the same because her voice is very comfortable in the song. Whereas Anno, you could hear she was projecting much more. She wasn't going so much for the light tone. She was more pushing her voice and really nailing the notes rather than going for the timbre. It was more about nailing the actual note. So Anno's performance vocally was very different in the first take version, I felt, than from the studio version.
Yeah. But
for
actually, I
sure.
like the sound of it a lot more in the first take version. I don't know.
Really?
Not like the original version is like overproduced or something, but I just like the raw vocals. And I mean, yeah, you don't need any production on that. I think it sounds fantastic like it is.
I think it's because the original. Sorry, I just quickly say. I think the original performance was very much about conveying the emotion, but the way that Anna
Yeah.
had to do that lightly was something that you wouldn't want to rely on doing in live performance. You'd really want to perfect that in the studio and get the perfect take. Sorry, Neil.
Yeah, sure.
No, I was just gonna say, I wonder if that's Anna's actually like real voice a little bit, because it felt like she was a little bit squeakier than usual on that first take. Now I don't know if that was just like to compensate for what Lilas was doing, but I thought her voice tonally was a little bit higher than it usually is.
Yeah, I think that's because I think again because here she was pushing for the note, and you know, like when you're singing, if you push, a lot of the time your voice does go up. You go up to nail the note.
Yeah, I
I think
with
here
it,
because she was projecting, she was getting that higher.
yeah, considering again, I think that was just because she had to hit the same notes as Lilas for those duet parts. But I was quite surprised by just like I know she's got a pretty high voice anyway, but like it was like, wow, that's like really it was hard not to watch that a little bit and was like, is she putting that on? Is that her natural voice? Like a little bit. I was quite surprised by that.
I was actually quite impressed by. I mean, I say this as an Anno fan.
Surprised, but
I was
impressed, yeah.
I was impressed by how well she nailed those notes because I was just kind of like when I heard the original version, I was like, oh, she's just singing it delicately and just sort of reaching for the range, and it's nice, it's cute, it's deliberately written to sound like she's a little bit out of place but singing along, and that's part of the charm. But when she just sort of like did this one and she just leant into it and she's sitting down, but she powers those notes out, I was like, oh, there's that little bit of power. And we've all heard her shout in the other song, but I mean, like power is in like the just direct projection powers. Like she could do that kind of polished performance as well when she really leaned into it. So maybe you got a point. Maybe she's just got that sort of naturally, but she likes to go for the more charmingly human performance. But yeah, I mean, the first one they did together, like the Anna featuring Lilas one, the first take version of that was really cool as well. Hearing that, because that's a very heavily produced song. Hearing that done really live, although the drummer was dragging. I stand by this, and I've had a couple of other people listen to it, like muso friends from the community, and they kind of said, "He's like, yeah, the drummer's dragging a little bit." And it's very obvious when you start noticing that the drummer is just the tiniest couple, just
To
like
be
a
fair,
couple
he was
hundredths of
wearing a
second.
bag over his head.
Hey, yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's like if Stevie Wonder can pull off that entire career,
Okay.
and he couldn't see shit. Ray Charles could do it. It's like, man, you know where the drums are. You set them up. You can
How
find
can I
them.
argue now?
I'm working on the
Names.
comebacks today. Sorry about the comeback.
I was actually
Yeah.
surprised that they even had a drum set on that first take because all the videos I've seen before, they were really like toned down and calmer than the original songs.
I don't remember seeing many band songs on the first take. I've seen some,
Yeah, or
but
artists.
not. Yeah, it's like I've seen a couple, but not many. It is like you say, it's mostly vocal performers with like a couple of session musicians or people from their team. You know, if they're like a solo singer who has a team of regular backing musicians, it's usually stuff like that. Or bands, you know, like we had the funny one is I saw the Creepy Nuts first take performance, and that was just so funny because it's like it is kind of a backing track, but the DJ plays it because like you got one member's the rapper, one member's the DJ, so he starts playing it. It's like rather than just standing there behind the record, it's like he starts scratching. It's like good, give him something to do. It's like he can't just stand there with no audience going,
Yeah.
bro, rap faster. Rap faster. Nah, lots of respect for Creepy Nuts. It's a very interesting act to go throw
Well, we know how it stands on DJs now, don't we?
God, the whole DJ community's out to get me. Oh man.
Sometimes it just feels like, I will turn a knob.
It is
I will
interesting
slide
though.
something.
I mean, because the thing is that like if you've got a DJ who's a producer as well, then in the studio, actually, they're probably doing most of the work.
Yes.
They're doing
True.
a huge
Yeah,
amount of
yeah.
work. It's just it doesn't translate to live very well. And of course, they want to have something to do. It's their song. They want to come up on the stage, and so they're doing it. And you know,
I totally get it. Yeah.
in a club atmosphere, that's fine. It's like, oh, I'm going to occasionally move something. Oh, I'll do a little bit of scratching just so you know that I'm actively doing something. It's like, then it's like the first take is like, here is a silent room. There's only white void and no noise. The headphones creak. The staff look at you coldly from behind the cameras.
Maybe they
and
should
we
have gone to
await
that
your
other channel you
completed
mentioned.
performance. Yeah, they should go to Blackboard. You're on the wrong
Yeah.
record company, guys. Go to Blackboard. So thank God the background's making all big color.
Yeah.
Power cut. But yeah, no, I think that Anna and Lilas, that was a really cool performance. I think both of them were really cool. I think of the two of them, like the performance of the original song that came out a few weeks before, I think it was a couple of weeks before. That one was good, but I think it was interesting as an alternative version. But I still prefer the original because it's just a song that's so big that the studio version gets the most out of it, and you know the drum beats on time in that one. But with this latest song, I think the two alternate versions, I like them both kind of almost equally in very different ways. But
I think I actually like the first take better just because of the raw vocal quality.
oh, there you go. There you go. I kind of like both Anna's innocent, slightly more active performance and her powerful performance.
Can't believe I'm saying this, but I think I'm going to side with Howard on this one, and I probably do prefer the studio version just a little bit better. Yeah. This is exactly why I don't like saying it, because he's such a cocky bastard.
I need my halo.
Well, actually, he agrees with me.
Well, thank you very much. The heavenly light is upon me now.
No, you are just for that reaction. I take it back. I agree with Bernadette.
Dion agrees. No, it's too late. It's recorded. The internet shall know. You finally admitted that I'm right about everything I've ever said. That's what
I wouldn't go that far.
That's
You
what
said
I
it now. He
heard
will
in my
take that
mind.
clip of you saying Howard is right. Put it
Just
everywhere.
loop it. I'm going to become a DJ.
Yeah.
Howard is right.
No, I said I'm going to agree with Howard on this one. I never said he was right.
I'm going to agree with Howard. Loop that round and round.
Let's not put words in my mouth here.
I'm gonna have that on like one of those sound effect buttons. So every time Leon's like pulling a slightly questionable face, I'm just gonna hit the button. I agree with Howard.
Yeah.
It's like thanks, Leon.
God damn it!
Definitely need a soundboard. Yeah.
We do need
I think this is a relatively safe strategy.
Why golf?
Why
Wait.
go exactly?
Do you know what? Yeah, I should do that. One day I should just come up with an entire neon soundboard. I can do a first take version of an episode of Ears to the East where it's just me in front of a white background and I just randomly talk, and then I have two mannequins in hats that just nod and wait for me to stop talking.
And then press a button after you stop. Yes, I agree with Howard.
Yes, I agree with Howard. And then the other one goes, I love Moa. I agree with you, Howard.
Could that be?
I love Moa.
Just rinse and repeat for 40 minutes for a video.
Turns out it's not actually the first take, it's just me sitting in a room on my own pretending I have friends. Oh, just trying to get some of those sympathy votes back after 10 minutes of destroying my reputation.
AI has come a long way. We're just AI. I'm not real.
If this gets popular enough, we can go back to doing those AI episodes we had before, because AI, write an episode of Ears to the East when it comes out. I might just do that. It's not going to know what it is anyway.
Yeah, I was going to say AI is not going to have a fucking clue what Ears to the East is. It's going to go, what the fuck is that shit?
Gotta be some weird ear shit.
Do you know what? I'm going to try that. And then one of these episodes, we'll start the episode. We won't tell anyone, but we'll just read it entirely.
Entirely off script. Jesus Christ.
See what comes out of it.
That could be our first take episode. Is
probably our best one yet.
Do you reckon we could pull off like a first take video, like me, you, Benedict, acoustic guitars or whatever?
Well, I mean, given the audio latency that Benedict has,
none of us can sing. That would be the funny
way of it.
Oh, Howard's a pretty good singer, actually. I've heard a couple of Howard's tracks.
You can do too. Don't talk yourself small. However you say that in England.
I'm gonna say it your way, dude.
Yeah. I like the way you
talk yourself small.
Don't talk yourself small.
That's what your button will say. That's what your button will say. Don't talk yourself small. I agree with Howard.
I love Moa.
Once you get one, we can't say anything anymore.
I love it.
Yes, I'm making this soundboard.
I know. Yeah, we totally should. All in all, yeah, I think the first take was pretty good. It's always an experience, always something to kind of gauge, kind of look at. It's worth it, I think. Even if it's not completely a new song or overcomplicated or simplified or whatever you want to say. As long as it's not a backing track, it's pretty, I love the first take. I love those performances. I think they're really good. And I think the Anna and Lilas one is really good. What are our predictions for them to kind of moving on in the future? I don't know if I don't know anything about the anime, so I don't know if it's going to get like a season 2 or if it's a movie or
it's a 2-part movie that were released a couple of months apart. So part 1 of the movie and then part 2 of the movie came out within a few months of each other. Just quickly to add to that, I mean, I will just quickly say we did talk about the backing track thing. I think certain singers, if they're a solo singer who's particularly reputable for their voice, I would be okay with them performing to a backing track because it's more just about seeing their vocal performance. Then I'd be okay with it. Obviously, I prefer to see them do a first take with a live musicians, but some artists, if it was like a Ayaka or someone like that, then I'd be like, oh, okay, just because, but yeah.
I think I'm with Neon on that because, yeah, rather would have some stripped down someone playing the piano.
I mean,
I would always prefer that, but I'm just I would always prefer that. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I prefer that, but I wouldn't be like, oh, this isn't even worth listening to. It'd be okay, I wish.
Obviously not.
Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm like covering a couple of things at the same time because we've got 5 minutes left on the free version of Zoom.
We're not worthy.
That's right. I think the big problem is that Benedict is only doing it with one hand. I think he might actually enrage the free version of Zoom.
I don't want to disconnect my mic.
Fair enough, that's a good excuse. There we go. In regards to Anna and Lilas, I don't know what's going to come next. There's been no announcement, and there's no reason to necessarily believe anything will come next because the project seems very self-contained. But I must admit that, I mean, Anna's known for getting on with other people, and she seems to, well, actually, after a certain interview she did recently, I'm not sure if that's actually entirely true. But when she gets on with people, she gets on with them really well. And yeah, I think these two have such a wonderful chemistry between them that I think that we're probably going to see something. I mean, they're probably just going to remain friends anyway. So at some point in the future, I'm sure they'll pop up on projects together, even if it's like Anna appearing on YOASOBI or something like that. I just get the feeling that would actually be really cool. But I think they're gonna like be in each other's orbits, I think, for the foreseeable future. And I think that in itself is lovely. And I'm sure there'll be enough fan outcry for more. I don't think because it's a 2-part film, and I don't know, it's based off an anime, off a manga, aren't they all? But I believe it's an enclosed story. I don't think there is a follow-up. But yeah, again, who knows what projects they come up with? And anyone who does know the anime, please let me know. I did a bit of research, but I don't believe there was anything that suggested there's a continuation.
Should
after
we
the end of
all
the
watch
story.
that anime and then talk about it?
I'm tempted to.
I'm
I'd be
tempted to give that a
intrigued.
go. That would be good. I'd do that.
If it's available here
Apparently, the
with
original
subtitles.
I think it will be, I mean, it probably will be in a couple of months or something, but I
Yeah,
think
it'll
the
be a while,
original manga, from what I'm aware, actually, from what I read, won a lot of awards. So apparently it's got to be good on some level, I'm assuming. So yeah, maybe we can check that out. There you go. I mean, the name is fucking baffling. Dead, destruction. It's almost like rat-ta-ta-ta-ta-ta. We already did that, but yeah.
We have time for a duel.
It's time to do. Love that.
Yeah, no, I think that overall though, they're just a really good duo. But I'm excited. There's so many other people who I can imagine Anna working with. I mean, she seems to have good chemistry with Utaha from Wednesday Campanella, and I would fucking go crazy for Anna being on a Wednesday Campanella song. That would be all of the madness in one basket. It's like actually having like they're both very different types of crazy, but having both of them leveling up. I know a lot of people have called for like Anna being on a Atarashi Gakko song, but I'm gonna put it this way: after seeing their chemistry when they were on screen recently together, I don't know. I don't think that would work. It did not seem. I don't know how much of that was acting, but there was like a real sort of like a like what the fuck's going on here kind of vibe. It's like it just the chemistry.
Musically, I can see it
like
work.
it was clicking.
Musically, I can see it work. Yeah, chemistry might be an
Maybe.
issue though. That was a we did not rehearse this moment.
Yeah, I think that like Atarashi Gakko, their whole thing, especially of recent, is they've got a very like it's a very almost scripted, everything looks very scripted, whereas Anna's very kind of off the cuff, you know, it's all very unexpected and crazy. And I think that's why it didn't gel. It's like Atarashi Gakko was doing all of these like sort of very scripted moves, and then Anna was just like, fuck is this? just walking around the set like what's going on here. So yeah.
Isn't that what she does usually?
Yeah, exactly. That's just kind of Anna being Anna. And suddenly the realization it's like maybe this is not the project would work. You know, but,
slowly sunk in. It's like, yeah.
I don't think this is going to be the right click. But her on Wednesday Campanella, that I would be intrigued into.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, definitely. Anna and Lilas again in the future would be great too. But we've only got about a minute left on the free version of
Zoom. We're not worthy.
So
yeah, so let us know in the comments, guys, what you guys think as well. We really appreciate it. I know we don't say it enough, but I'm going to say it anyway. I know much to discuss of these two. We really appreciate it if you're watching this video and you did enjoy this podcast. Please smash a like as well, subscribe. Really appreciate it. We're absolutely hurting towards 1K, which would be absolutely mental for this channel. It would help us out a lot. Obviously, means then we can start monetizing the channel as well, which would.
This is why Neil's got
with
more than
Raid
10
Shadow Legends.
times as. That's why Neil's got more than 10 times as many subs as us. That and Raid Shadow Legends. Subs,
yeah, and then don't forget that this video is sponsored by.
No, Raid Fly Spray. Anyway, 20 seconds
apparently,
left.
according to them two, it should be sponsored by
Raid.
15 seconds left. I'm going to tell everyone at home to keep your ears to. That's directed at Raid Shadow Legends, the East. Far away from. No, fuck it.
Shadow Legends.
No.